Some of our minds are going. Well, I'm going to stop it right
terrible,
now.
Terrible.
As long as your minds are going off something, either I can pass by you now or maybe later on in some other call. But I now decide I'm blaming Napoleon Hill for all the years that I struggled at internet marketing.
Why?
Because if he hadn't have flubbed one of his stories, then I swear I would have shaved years off of what I was doing.
What story did he flub? I'm missing something, right, guys?
Well, no, I've never mentioned this before.
Okay.
But yeah, let me bring it up here.
Bring it. You brought it up already. You got us hooked. Go on, sir.
You've heard of the 3 feet from gold story, correct?
That's not about the farmer out in Africa. No.
No. You guys familiar with that? You've heard it?
No, I don't think I have.
Really?
I don't know that one.
Oh my. Okay. I've heard it so many times. I've heard
a novice group here. What can I say?
Oh, yeah. No worries. Okay, it's the first chapter of Think and Grow Rich. I'll give you the highlights of it here because it looks like this. So there's a man named Darby and his uncle who they basically find a gold mine. And they started and they find some gold and so they buy a bunch of equipment they're going to use to extract this gold, and they start drilling, and they find more gold, and they're really happy about it, and they've invested a lot of time and effort into this here. And as things are going along, suddenly the gold stops. And so they're not sure what to do, and so they keep on drilling and drilling and drilling, and they keep at it, and they just can't figure out what's going on. There's no more gold, and they give up. And so they sell all of their equipment to a junk man, and what happens is this junk man, this is the term that Napoleon Hill uses in his book, this junk man goes and he hires an expert, some kind of geologist who comes in, and the geologist pokes around a little bit and says, oh, the gold's over here. That you just didn't understand fault lines, basically. And so they drilled, and this gold turned out to be 3 feet away from where Darby and his uncle had stopped drilling.
Wow. And
the junk man made millions off of this gold mine. Now, Darby, he had returned back east or wherever, and he heard about this, and he learned his lesson. And he said, you know what, I'm never giving up. You never know when you're 3 feet away from gold. Okay, so he went in to, form an insurance company, and he sold millions of dollars worth of insurance because he never gave up. And Napoleon Hill ends the story on this note where he says, yeah, and of the hundreds of very successful people I've talked to, all of them would say that you never know if you're just 3 feet from gold. Most of them, when things got really difficult, that's how far away they are. They pushed through it and they succeeded.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so I said, okay.
Mhm.
So what's the whole point of this story? And Napoleon Hill and then the business coaches and everybody, they say, okay, it's persistence, right?
I don't know if that's really. It's almost. It's like it's opening your mind or thinking out of the box, or beware of staying too focused. Maybe it's not in front of you. Maybe it's 3 feet to the left. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, there's some possible interpretations, but
yes.
Basically,
persistence is right. Yeah.
Persistence. Well, no, actually, it's not right.
Okay.
Yeah, and it would be more interesting if all of you had heard of this story and heard it repeated several times, because it's always persistence.
Right.
And I was saying, okay, you just keep on going, and because you could be 3 feet away from your success.
But you have to remember to turn left, right?
Yeah, turn left.
Right. If they were just persistent and kept drilling, they would never have found it. I mean, they get to China.
Well, that's the thing.
Completely persistence, right?
Right. I see where you're going with it.
Well, actually, I'm going a little bit even different direction than with it here.
Okay.
Oh, you're so tricky, Jeremy. You're so tricky.
Well, I didn't realize this until I just read the story just a couple of days ago, and I said, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Napoleon Hill got it wrong, and so did all the business coaches, and not just a little bit wrong, totally wrong. Okay, because let's look at this at internet marketing-wise. Okay, what happens if we apply persistence to internet marketing? Okay, so we do the same thing that Darby did. Mm-hmm. We dig and we dig and we dig and we dig and we dig. Mm-hmm. And what does that look like in internet marketing? It looks like people who are spending so much time learning and applying and trial and error and trying and trying. And the idea is that most people out there who are just being persistent, and they're getting overloaded, and they're dying out there, really. And what I did was I said, wait a minute. let's rewind a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
And what did the junk man do?
He hired the geologist.
Ah, aha.
Like some of us have hired Jerome. Did I jump on it? Jump.
Well, that's the thing, yeah.
You are tricky. You are tricky, Jerome.
Well, it's right there in the story. Napoleon Hill says, oh, yes, and you hired a geologist, and the geologist looked at the fault lines and said, oh, you know. So no, the junk man didn't dig and dig and dig and dig. Okay. So it wasn't his persistence that got him to gold, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just to take this analogy a little bit further, when it comes to internet marketing, a lot of us, you know, when we get done digging and digging and digging and digging and we don't know where the gold is, then we say, oh, okay, well, what we need to do is we need to go get a degree in geology. You know, and so we buy a whole bunch of education and
right.
and a couple more years trying to learn everything there is to know about internet marketing. And then, you know, if the junk man had done that, then, you know, a couple of years later and with a geology degree, maybe he could have figured it out, you know. But that's not what he did either. He just hired a guy who already knew everything. And you know, he skipped the months and the years and the thousands of dollars trying to learn everything himself or, you know, just being persistent and eventually giving up. And doesn't that make sense? Just
I smell an excellent blog article and also a video, maybe an ebook. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
So,
yes, it does.
Yeah. So I looked at that and I said, wait a minute, that's what I do. I'm the expert and I tell people where to dig. I can do it in 30 minutes, you know, no need
I love it.
Stuff. So it's not about persistence. It's about taking the ultimate shortcut by getting the expert guidance and then acting on that. And
I am so thrilled. I just want to be a little commercial here that I said to myself, you know, Jerome invited me to make this presentation. I've listened to a few of his calls before. I think I'm ready now. You know, I was resistant before to pay $67 per month, but I realized with all these other offerings that are out there, it's extremely reasonable, and he has years of experience. And it's worth it to hire somebody that's been there, done that, and is showing you the way, without a doubt. Definitely.
I'm sure glad this is recorded. I might just have to use this detail.
Yeah, you know, Jeremy, you need to have a little sound device that everybody can start clapping when we clip something. that was really good, Karen. You know, because if I could clap, I would. And I also want to follow that up. Jeremy's worth every penny, and it's so reasonable. He gives us a great guidance.
I don't have to pay $3,000 and go up to Connecticut. Thank you, Jerome.
That's what I'm definitely making this available to everybody else. Anybody else want to chime in while we're at it?
Wait a minute, you guys are only paying $67 a month?
Whoops. Yeah. You came at one of those high pricing levels at $2.99.
Oh, you guys were grandfathered in.
Oh my gosh.
Good. Okay. Well, hey, thanks for indulging in my rant there, but that was just a revelation to me. I said, wait a minute, I'm doing it the way that it should be doing.
So, you know, Jeremy, I got to ask you, because remember, I'm older. So the moral of the story, and it wasn't persistence, and it wasn't about education. It was about you drilling down and giving them direct guidance and direction. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's about whatever you're trying to do. It's about, you know, just finding somebody who already knows everything about it and just asking them. And this is, and I think it works particularly well in internet marketing, but probably a lot of things, where if you can skip trying to figure it all out on your own. You can skip trying to, be the expert yourself. Because most people, they're business owners. You know, they're not interested in being the expert in internet marketing. They just need to know where to dig.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, what's the point of trying to figure it all out yourself when somebody like me could come in and, you know, in half an hour say, oh, this is where I would dig. And
Mm-hmm.
go, oh, great, you know, and start digging there. And then, of course, I offer the continual support so that people can come back and ask questions, because you're going to have more questions. You know, I'd imagine that this junk man, you know, he probably, you know, called the geologist up a couple of times, said, hey, this is great. I'm doing really well. Thanks a lot. Any other advice you'd have for me? Or we're kind of running low on this one. Is there any place else you suggest I dig? And so I'd imagine that they had a pretty good relationship going there because, hey, it made life a lot easier on the junk man. The geologist was able to do what they do well, and everybody, was able to profit from that. So I just see that as a really good scenario, and I was just interested to see that that's exactly what Napoleon Hill says worked really well and quickly, and yet he didn't see it, and neither did most of the people who have quoted this story to me over the years. So I just really got a kick out of that.
That's going to be a cool video when you make it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I will.